Hello, and welcome to Money Mondays, powered by the Joseph Business School, where you can tune in every first and third Monday of the month to hear a new money topic. Be sure to subscribe to our JBS YouTube channel and share these podcasts with your friends and family. I'm your host, Jill Thompson, and on today's podcast, we're going to discuss the topic of credit and credit scores. So what is credit? It's a 3-digit number that communicates how likely you are to repay debt, and that 3-digit number can determine your eligibility to purchase a home, car, or even a job. What most consumers do not know is that in 2012, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, did a short study and found that 1 in every 5 American consumers had at least one error on his or her credit report. And in 2015, when they did a follow-up study of that same report, they discovered that 70% of those same consumers who reported and disputed the errors still believed that their credit reports were inaccurate. In 2016, Experian, one of the major credit bureaus, reported that the national average credit score of all consumers was 673, which is considered fair, not even good or excellent. This year, we are focusing on breakthroughs in our old habits, breakthroughs in our thinking, and especially breakthroughs in our credit and credit history. There are several examples of credit usage in the Bible, from the woman who was deep in debt in 2 Kings 4, to Christ canceling our debts and our records of debt, nailing it to the cross in Colossians 2 and 4, ESV translation. Although the Bible does not contain a direct commandment to never borrow money, it does, however, warn of the burdens that can come with not borrowing responsibly. And in Proverbs 22 and 7, the Bible tells us that the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Biblical principles about borrowing and debt have not changed, even if the currency by which we borrow has. Credit cards are a resource and are neither good nor bad. However, the way in which we choose to use them have either a negative or positive impact on us. Here, to put it all in perspective, is credit expert Jeri Toliver. Jeri is the CEO of Fly Credit Solutions. She has dedicated her work to promoting positive community and economic growth through the power of financial literacy. Her mission is to educate individuals on the power of building strong credit, teaching entrepreneurs how to secure credit and capital, and leveraging credit to become debt-free. Jeri, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jill. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And I'm excited that you're here too.
Thank
so
you.
Jeri, just tell us a little bit. What is credit?
Yeah, good question. Very good question. So credit is basically a representation of how often you pay your bills on time or late. So depending on where your credit score is, right? So it ranges from 300, not being that great, to 850, which is absolutely awesome. Now, 300 usually represents that you may not have any established credit, or the established credit that you did have may be a little damaged.
Okay.
If you're in the 700s to 800s, then that really means that you're really good. You pay your bills on time. You don't pay anything late. You may not have any collections or anything that may be negatively affecting your credit scores. So it really just kind of depends, right?
Okay.
Your credit score determines whether or not you're going to get the best interest rates. Your credit score determines whether or not you're going to get that mortgage loan. It determines whether or not my business owners get capital to grow their dreams. It really dictates everything that you can do with your finances. So it's extremely, extremely important.
And you know what's very surprising? I was surprised to find out that credit even affects employment.
Yes, it does.
That there are certain jobs that they actually check your credit score before you can even get hired.
That's true.
But tell me a little bit, if there is a person who does not have any credit, how do they go about establishing credit?
Right. So this is a two-part question.
Okay.
Because it really kind of depends on where you are currently. So sometimes people have bad credit only because they've been through some life events. They may have, had some medical issues, or maybe they lost their job, or maybe they went through bankruptcy or divorce. Sometimes these life situations they hammer away at our credit scores. So in that type of situation, you really want to try rebuilding using a couple of different methods. The first method I would definitely try is a secured credit card. Have you ever heard of secured credit card?
No, tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so a secured credit card is a way for you to just secure another line of credit with a bank. And the way you do this is you give them some money. Now this is about $300 to $500, and this money will act as a security deposit in the event that you don't pay the credit card. So as you use the credit card, you pay it off, you use it, pay it off, they'll actually give you your security deposit back. So if you gave them $300 and you use your credit card responsibly, they will give you the money back, which is awesome. If in the case that you don't really use it that responsibly, then they may keep it, but it's okay. It's really just a way for you to start establishing more credit, getting your foot in the door, because once you get your foot in the door with one bank, then you can start getting your foot in the door with more banks on top of that,
That's
right?
smart.
And so you can do this either if you have damaged credit, or you can also do it if you're just starting out. So for my college students, if they've never had a credit card before, I would say, go get a secured credit card just to start yourself off with. And then once you start yourself off, then you can start, like I said, upgrading to more major credit cards like Discover or American Express or Bank of America, some of those major credit cards that people like to have. But just to start out, secured credit cards are a good way to go.
Got it. So Jeri, how did you get started with credit?
Wow, that's a really good question. So I started in credit because I had my own struggles, right? I had my own financial struggles. Back in 2015, I would have really considered myself to be financially illiterate. I didn't know the first thing about budgeting. I didn't know the first thing about debt. I didn't know anything about that. And because of that, it really landed me in a lot of unfortunate financial situations. I racked up $30,000 of credit card debt that I didn't know I had to pay back eventually. I had a 545 credit score. I lived paycheck to paycheck, and budgeting was like a curse word for me. It was just something that I did not want to do until I read a book, and that book was called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, wow.
Book changed my life. It changed my life. I started budgeting my money. I started paying off my debt. I started investing my money more so it can give me more money back so I can secure a financial future for me and my 2 children. So I bought my first house back in 2015. And
congratulations.
Thank you. A lot of what I do now is so different simply because I picked up a book. So I would highly encourage, if anybody has never done this, pick up The Richest Man in Babylon. It's an awesome book, and it will definitely change the way you think about money.
Oh, so is there like an example of maybe some clients that you've actually helped in the past, or even currently that you're helping or assisting with their credit? Can you kind of tell us a little bit about their story and maybe some steps that you've helped, to help them get to where they are?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I actually have a family. They're Weatherspoons. We call them the Weatherspoons. Shauna and Michael Weatherspoon. They were a client of mine last year in November. And so they were really looking to get a house very soon. Their credit scores weren't quite that good because they had been through some bankruptcy and some other unfortunate situations. But
that's a big one, bankruptcy.
It is. And for a lot of different reasons, they had to go that route. And so we helped them with recovering from the bankruptcy, because bankruptcy doesn't have to stay on your credit reports. It doesn't have to keep knocking your credit scores down. There is a way to get that removed from your credit reports. So we helped them with removing it from their credit reports. We helped them with rebuilding their credit, establishing more credit cards to start boosting their scores. And they were able to secure their home loan about 3 or 4 months. 4 months to the program, we were able to raise their credit scores from 575. We got them to a 679, and they were able to secure their home. It was awesome. Yeah, really awesome.
You just brought up some really good stuff, Jeri. One, you told us that you can have bankruptcies removed from your credit. I'm sure there are people out there that do not know that. But the second thing is, I'm sure someone's maybe thinking, what was the time frame? Like, how long did it take for them to get to that place where they were at that 500 to now a high 6?
It took us about 4 to 4.5 months to do it.
Wow.
So yeah, it took us, because you do have to dispute those negative accounts in your credit like you mentioned earlier. So you do have to dispute these type of accounts in your credit. It's amazing though, because a lot of people don't know that you can dispute accounts in your credit. I had a client once that had a bankruptcy reporting on his credit report that he had never filed before. And the reason why it was reporting on his credit was because he had a really common name. He had a last name of Smith. And a lot of people that have common names, they have a lot of just stuff on their credit reports that either they may be a junior, somebody of their family members may have other stuff reporting on their credit, or, someone in their neighborhood may have the same last name, and that stuff will report on their credit reports as well. So I always tell people, check your credit at a minimum once a year, at a minimum, because you'll be surprised how many different accounts or things that you may not really recognize will just magically pop up on your credit report.
Wow. That's funny because it kind of goes back to the statistic we talked about that every 1 in 5 Americans have an error on their credit report. And just like you stated, with the common names, we don't think about it. That if you have a very common name, it could be something so simple as someone else's information being reported on your credit report. But there was another point that you brought up that I thought was essential to this topic around credit, which is how ultimately, if there is a person who may have had a bankruptcy and now that they are deciding that they want to move forward, they don't have to be in fear.
Right.
So the fear, it kind of cuts out that. So if a person wanted to, how could they get in contact with do they need a credit repair specialist in order to help them get the bankruptcy removed? Or is this something that they can do themselves, meaning they just need the paperwork?
Yeah, they could definitely do it themselves. You have protection as a consumer that can help you with disputing negative or derogatory, inaccurate type of information on your credit reports. You have protection under the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Okay.
And the Fair Credit Reporting Act basically says that everything on your credit has to be 100% verifiable, accurate, right? So nothing inaccurate can be on your credit reports at all. And so with bankruptcy, you can get it removed off of your credit reports yourself. However, I would encourage you to just raise your hand, ask a specialist to help you out with that, because it could definitely be a longer process if you do it yourself, rather than having a professional just step in and give you the step-by-steps, the 1, 2, 3s, the blueprint, if you will, to getting you from point A to point B.
Jeri, you brought up something else too earlier. You stated that a person can actually request their credit report once a year.
Yes.
And so I know that I've read previously that that's a free resource. Where can people go to have their credit reports pulled? And then the second part to that question is how many reports are there? Or how many bureaus work to creating that report?
Good question. So to answer your first question, if you want to pull your credit reports, there are a couple different ways for you to do this. So you can pull your credit reports for free once every year through annualcreditreport.com. So annualcreditreport.com will give you all 3 of your credit reports, which are through TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. You'll be able to pull those 3 if you do it through annualcreditreport.com.
Is this free?
It is completely free. But here's the thing, you won't get your credit scores. That's something that you won't get. You'll only get your reports. If you want a free credit report and score, you can head over to Credit Karma. Credit Karma will give you your Equifax and your TransUnion for free. You won't get your Experian, but you will still at least get 2 credit reports and 2 credit scores for free. Now, this is a little tricky, because sometimes people ask me, well, are these credit scores on Credit Karma accurate? Yes and no, because you have 2 different type of scores. You have the FICO score, and then you have a Vantage 3.0 score.
Okay.
So your Vantage 3.0 score is really what you'll usually see on Credit Karma or any of those other free or online monitoring type of sites. However, if you want your true FICO score, you can go over to myfico.com, and they will give you your FICO scores, your credit reports. It does have a cost associated with that one, but at least you'll get your true scores.
Got it. Okay, and I'm sure, let's bring it home, right? And so one of the major things that have been happening to us politically is we just had the economic shutdown, right? So there was a government shutdown that occurred recently, and there were a lot of employees who maybe were government-based employees. And so because they were out of work for a period of time, most of them may have some late charges on their credit, right? And so this may have affected them because they weren't getting their paychecks. What advice do you give that person in order to get back on track, where maybe it may be working against them at this point in time because now they have to catch up on those bills?
It's an interesting question, because my mother is going through this, and I had to give her some direction on this as well. But here's the thing, your credit card companies Any company really that you currently owe any money to, any loans, auto loans, mortgages, credit cards, they actually have a program available. So if you give them a call and you tell them, I am being affected by the shutdown, or I have been affected by the shutdown, they will delay some of your payments. So
That's good to know.
in the event that you're not able to make your payments, they should be able to carry that over for you, and you shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of a late payment. So I would highly encourage anyone, if you're already going through this, if you've missed some payments, just call your credit card company, call the bank that you bank with, because they will be more than happy to help you with that. At the end of the day, a bank wants to get paid. Sure, they want to get paid on time, but in the event that they're not going to be able to get paid, at least communicate to them why they're not going to get paid on time. They'll understand, because this is a national crisis, right? So they'll be very understanding. Just give them a call and let them know.
So Jeri, I don't have neither bad credit nor excellent credit, but I desire excellent credit, like that perfect 850. I'm about in the 700 range. So what would you recommend for someone like myself who wants perfect credit?
So perfect credit, like an 850 score.
850.
Okay, so if you want an 850, perfect 850 credit score, there's a couple of things that you gotta do, okay? The first thing is you can't have any type of negative account on your credit reports. So these are late payments, collection accounts, any medical bills, bankruptcies, repossessions, old student loans. These type of things cannot report on your credit if you want perfect 850 scores. Also, you need 21 plus accounts in order to get to an 850 credit score.
21?
Yes.
I think I need to go back and count.
Right, you need about 21. Now, they don't have to all be open, okay? They can be closed, but it's really just the totality of all the accounts that you've ever had open. So these are mortgage accounts, auto loans, student loans, credit cards. So just the entire amount of accounts that you've ever opened in your lifetime. That's the only way that you'll ever be able to build an 850. Now, a lot of people always ask me, is there a way for us to get around that? No, not really. You definitely have to build the credit. You have to have credit cards. You have to have some loans. If you don't, then you won't be able to establish any credit. So if you've never opened up a credit card before, if you've never opened up a loan before, definitely go back and do that. Just apply for a small credit card, apply for a small loan. That'll definitely get your foot in the door so that you can start building upon that credit. But if you want 850 scores, you definitely have to start there.
Got it. And what if I don't have that 21 accounts? Can I get like those secured cards that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, you could do secured credit cards. You can also try the shopping cart trick. So if no one's never heard of the shopping cart trick, the shopping cart trick is a way for you to get approved for credit cards without a credit check. Okay, now this is a trick I'm actually going to be sharing at our workshop on next Monday. We're going to be sharing it next Monday on the 25th, but you can rapidly start getting more credit cards on your credit reports by using the shopping cart trick. I personally use this trick to take my credit scores from 545 to 765 in 8 months. So I know that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Now, question for you. Does like the credit limit matter? Like if it's only $200 or it's just 21 accounts in total?
21 accounts in total. So if you had 20 accounts with $200 credit limits, then that's still good.
I think I'm going to open some secured cards, guys. Okay, so here we go. Jeri, I know that you kind of teased us a little bit, letting us know that, yes, on the 25th, Jeri will be teaching here. She'll be teaching in the Joseph Business School. For those of you who are not familiar with our institution, you will be teaching the credit and credit repair class. I am super excited about this, and I hope you guys will be in attendance. I surely will. But can you tell us what are some things that you'll be teaching there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will be sharing 5 bulletproof ways to rapidly raise your credit score. So like I said, these are the same tips that I use to go from 545 to 765 in 8 months. I'll also be sharing how I leverage my credit score to pay off over $30,000 of credit card debt. So you definitely don't want to miss it. Like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
I think that's excellent. So 5 bulletproof ways, guys. 5 bulletproof ways to raise your credit score. Definitely going to be in the house. And then not only that, but we're paying off some credit card debt.
That's right.
So Jeri, I just want to thank you so much for coming on our show. I think the information that you gave is absolutely an on-time word for breakthrough. Remember, this is our year for financial breakthrough, guys. So thank you for coming on our show. We look forward to seeing you on the 25th. For those of you who have not done so already, make sure you subscribe to our JBS YouTube channel where you can check out more upcoming podcasts coming up every first and third Monday of the month. Again, I'm your host, Jill Thompson, and I look forward to seeing you prosper. We want to hear from you. On our next podcast, we'll be talking real estate, the real estate, how to own it, how to buy it, how to sell it. We are bringing a team of experts. Submit your questions in advance to moneymondays@jbs.edu. Again, that's moneymondays@jbs.edu. Don't forget to join us every first and third Monday at noon for a new topic on money management and wealth creation. Subscribe to our Joseph Business School YouTube channel. And as always, I'm your host, Jill Thompson, and I look forward to being with you on our next time and to seeing you prosper.